Assalamu alaikum, dear friends, how are you? One thing which is very, very important for each one of us, without exception, that is, we need to make our life productive on the one hand, easier on the other hand. Productivity and making it easy on the other hand, this is something each and every individual, I think we need it. And today that is why we have made it a topic of our discussion and we are going to delve in it. There are certain things, there are certain step by steps advancement toward this goal or destination. So the first segment of our today's discussion, that is productivity tips. So there are five productivity tips which are so important. Number one, prioritizing tasks. Focus on high impact activities. All of us need to carry a to-do list. Not only we need to carry, we need to keep updating it as well. Certain things to be deleted on the one hand, certain things to be added in it on the other hand. And then not only this thing, we need to prioritize it as well, because everything else written in that to-do list is not of equal importance at all. So there are plenty of things which does produce 80% of the result. There are another thing which does produce some 20% of the result, and in between two. So for all that reason, we need to categorize it and we need to divide it into the four categories and write the category of that particular item after a bit of consideration. A category for those items which are important, which are urgent at the same time. Important and urgent at the same time. So all of these things should be branded as the A item. So we need to write A in front of every such item. Then the B, we need to write B in front of all those items which are important but not urgent. Now the C category against those items on our to-do list which are not important but urgent. So then the D and the loss category, the things which are neither important nor urgent. So that is, we are talking about the productivity tips. So there are five productivity tips. So that is the number one tip. It is prioritizing tasks. Number two, create a schedule. How can I create the schedule? Now, keeping in that particular list in front of me, I need to plan my day. And it is far better that if at all we plan the day a night earlier before going to bed, so that on the one hand our subconscious mind keep working on that particular agenda. On the other hand, when I wake up in the morning, I will be ready to take on all those items on that particular list. So we need to plan our day, we need to plan our week, and of course we need to plan our month. So that is how we can schedule, we can create a schedule. The third tip is use productivity applications on the smartphone, on the computer. So this is the day, the time and the age of the technology. So a technology has entered everywhere else. So there are certain applications on the smartphone, of course, which can help us a lot. So there are three such applications which I am going to share with you. The first one is Todoist, Todoist, Todoist. The second is Trello, Trello, and the third is Rescue Time, Rescue Time, Rescue Time. So these are use productivity applications. Now the fourth is very important, very important. That is setting boundaries. So everything we are doing and every individual we are interacting with, we may interact with. So there must be certain rules, regulations. So there must be a code of ethics. What to do, what not to do. So there must be certain boundaries. I need to draw a line. Okay, I can do up to this extent, not beyond that at all. So I can bear you up to this extent, not beyond that at all. For that reason, we need to learn to say no. Learning to say no politely but firmly. So every request and every invitation is not worth responding with a yes. So we need to learn to say no. Practice it. It is very important indeed. Now the fifth and the last tip on the productivity, it is recharge and avoid the burnout. Recharging and avoiding the burnout by taking breaks. By taking breaks several times in a day. Several times in a day. And there is a Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique says that focus your all your attention on one item for 20 to 25 minutes, not beyond that. After that, take a rest of at least 5 minutes, and it is far better to leave your seat, slightly go away, enjoy your breaks, come back, restart your work. Not only that, we need to take breaks several times in a single day, rather, we need to take break after a week as well. So, certain societies are enjoying the 2 weekly offs. Another certain societies, they can afford only 1 weekly off. Somehow taking breaks, it is very important so that we could avoid the burnout, so that we could recharge ourselves. So that was the segment 1A segment. Now the B segment says time saving strategies. We need to save our time. We need to utilize our time in the best possible manner. Why? Because the time is a primary resource, because the time is life. So again, there are 5 tips. Tip number 1, automate repetitive task. Automation of the repetitive task on the one hand. Number 2, batch similar tasks. Batching similar tasks, all the similar tasks, we need to put into one bracket. So we need to do it one after the another. It is, I shall like to put forward a beautiful example. Like if at all you travel to another city, so whatever works you have to do from that particular city, you will like to do it in the same visit. So in the same manner, batching the similar task. Now the third is, use shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts as well. Now the fourth tip is streamline your digital life. Streamlining your digital life. Unsubscribe, you know delete unused accounts. So that is streamlining the digital life as well, because all of us have a digital life as well. Now the fifth is, it is outsource task. Everything else cannot be done by you yourself, by me myself. So for that task, for that reason, we need to take the help of the freelancers, virtual assistants, or whatever way. Delegate it, delegate it, delegate it. Outsourcing, that is very important. What to outsource, what I cannot do, what I am not skilled in, or what is too much time consuming for the too little work, like 80% of the time it might take, with the result of 15 to 20%. It is better to outsource it. Now the third section, that is organizational ideas. What are the organizational ideas? Declutter physical and digital space. Decluttering of the physical space, decluttering of the digital space as well. So why declutter is so important? So important. On the one hand, remove the unnecessary items. On the other hand, put them in such a way that every time you need it, it will be on your fingertip. Now the second is, it is create a to don't list. That is a new idea. Earlier we have been listening and talking about to-do list. Here there is another thing, that is create a to don't list. The things which you don't have to do, which are the time wasters, or which are some one way or the other very bad for you. Create a to don't list. Now the third is, implement a one touch rule. Implementing one touch rule for what type of items? The items which are small enough, simple enough, instead of doing it several in the several parts, it is far better to apply here the one touch rule. So get this thing done. Get this thing done. Clear it in just one attempt. So instead of for a simpler task, for a smaller task, doing it in the many installments, it is better to do it once. Now the next is it is use labels and categorization for the similar items, of course. Now the fifth and the last organizational idea is set a launching pad for the daily essentials. Now the next segment says wellness and self-care, very important indeed. It is wellness and self-care. We need the emotional well-being, we need the mental well-being, we need the physical well-being. Wellness very important indeed. Self-care essential, because we are our own primary resource. If at all we are not taking proper care of ourselves, I think everything else will be spoiled. So for that reason, there are five very important tips. The number one, it is exercising regularly. Physical exercise on a regular basis. Whatever type of exercise you can afford or suits you, walking, jogging, running, yoga, aerobics, athletics, sports, whatever, gym, whatever suits you, whatever you can easily do. So exercise regularly. Number two, meditate and practice mindfulness. Meditation, even if it is 10 minutes in the morning, another 10 minutes in the evening, but learn to meditate, practice meditate. Mindfulness. Mindfulness stands for a state of mind achieved by consciously focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations, all that without judgment. So that is meditate and practice mindfulness. The third tip, on the wellness and self-care, it is connect with the nature. Spare a little bit of your time, either on the daily basis or on the weekly basis, to be with the nature. Now the fourth is schedule self-care time. Yes, it must be scheduled as well, that from that time to that time it is my self-care time. I'm not going to squander it here and there. I'm not going to work, I'm not going to do other things, but I'm going to concentrate upon my self-care. The fifth and the last, which is very important indeed, that is prioritizing sleep. Sleep is very important. Sleep is the biggest restorative. So we need to enjoy the sound sleep, 7 to 8 hours every night. So that was the fourth section, wellness and self-care. Now the fifth is financial simplification. Yes, it is very important. How can we do that? Again, there are five tips. That is create a budget. Creating a budget. People are shy away from creating the budget. They think it is too complicated. Actually, it is too simple. All what is needed here, that we need to write down the money we may need. Like if at all somebody is living in, I'm living in a rented house, this much of the house rent, this much of the utility bill, this is for the food, this is for the transportation, and this is for the socialization, and this amount of money for what? For some sort of unplanned expenses as well. So that is then trying to achieve the money you are in need of. So that is creating a budget. Also, we need to keep tracking the expenses as well. How can we do that? Keep writing every expense you have made, you are making. Then at the end of the day, at the end of the week, think about, look upon, reflect upon, okay, what was unnecessary and where you spent unnecessarily and there was no need to spend money upon that, or where you spent more than what was needed. Even we need to think where I should have spent money, but I shied away from that. Now the second, automate saving. That is very important. Make it compulsory, or put yourself in some sort of situation, in some sort of situation where you must save some of the money. The third is pay off high interest debt. Some of the people, they are getting the high interest debt, Absolutely wrong. Absolutely. Some of the people buy the things on installment, paying the very high interest rate. And some of the people, they are getting the micro loan on a very high interest. Whatever is the high interest loan, just pay back and never ever. Don't even think of getting it again. Now the fourth is invest in the retirement plan. Some of the retirement plan, investing money, investing time for your retirement. The fifth and the last is use cashback and rewards. Use cashback and rewards. So that was financial simplification. Now the last segment, it is the relationships and communication. Relationship and communication, that is also as important as any other, or maybe more than that. Now there are only 5 tips for all that. Number one, setting of clear boundaries. Set clear boundaries. Do not hesitate to draw a line. This is what I can do. This is what I cannot do for you at all. So up to this extent, I'm available. Up to that extent, beyond that, I'm not available at all. So that is setting the clear boundaries. Rules and regulation. Every person you are interacting with, every activity you are doing, for our own self on the one hand, for the other people on the other hand, every invitation and every request is not worth responding with a yes. We need to learn to practice saying no. Learn to practice saying no. So that is number one thing. As for the relationships and communication is concerned, number two, practice active listening. Practice active listening, very important. Active listening, full attention while listening to somebody. Pay full attention, not trying to create the answer in your mind while you are talking, but it is good to create a question, so that you are better able to understand it even better. So that is practice active listening. The third is schedule a regular check-in. Keep contacting them regularly, either on telephone, on the social media, or by visiting them. Now the fourth is use I statements. Now the fifth and the last is show gratitude and appreciation. Showing the appreciation on the one hand, if at all they have done something good for you, even for they themselves, we need to congratulate them from the very depths of our heart, and we need to appreciate them. We need to be grateful to them, showing gratitude as well. If at all, even if they have done a bit of favor to you, do not forget to be grateful, because that is very very important. Also in general as well, we need to be very very grateful about our life, because if at all, what is being grateful? Instead of keep criticizing, keep complaining, I'm lacking this, I'm lacking this, I'm lacking this, it is far better. It can make us, keep us happy on the one hand, productive on the other hand. If at all we start remembering, we start appreciating what I am possessing, no matter how little, how small it is. I shouldn't be ungrateful. I shouldn't take it for granted. I should not ignore it at all. I need to be grateful. So these are certain very, very important tips to lead a productive life, to lead a simpler and to lead an easier life. That's all from me today. Thank you very much.